Good evening or good morning, folks. It's about 3:30 GMT time on Tuesday, the 28th, and we're going to take a look at Forex for the week. As you can see, I've switched brokers that I'm doing my analysis from. So this is going to be a New York-based broker. So your pivots may look a little bit different than mine. I'm also running the combined Momentum Master and FibMaster template across all the pairs currently. So let's get started for the week. We're going to take a look at Pound New Zealand Dollar. So not much has happened over Monday. It's been the case with most of the pairs. And we are slowly moving down towards the area of interest, which is going to be our 62.5 fib here, and that's going to be basically smack in the middle of the 4-hour Gyna fibs. So I'll be looking for support to form in this area and for a signal to trade that long. All right, pound odd. I was looking for a pullback down to the 2.1 area, which is down in here. However, we've started out, we did have a little bit of a pullback and we've moved up a little bit, as you can see. As we move in closer to WR1 and 2.150, it's going to be a little bit harder for a push up from there. However, we may see that price continue on past that WR2. Of course, we'll have to see what momentum does and if we have any catalysts that really want to move price this week. I have added a 4-hour trend line to the chart here, where we can look for a more shallow pullback from where we're at now. Essentially, that's going to be right in this area, and the crux of the trend line, you can see we're moving down there. If we do get another bounce off this trend line, I'll definitely look for a long, but I'll have a pretty limited first profit target of WR1. If that does break, then of course the preferred trade is to continue down to 2.1 and take the bounce from there. All right, pound CAD. I was looking for a pullback to 2. We didn't quite make it there. Looks like we found a little bit of support at the 4-hour 55. However, the momentum was a little bit short-lived. There may have been a decent small trade in there, so looks like we could pull back down, or this could just be a lull and we could continue on up. Either way, at this point, I'm not too interested to get in unless we do move down from here and basically have kind of a push through the 55 that gets rejected at 2, and then we get a subsequent close back above the 55. That should provide us with a good long, and of course that'll be the basically the second move away from that area for the week, which should give us more buyers to get back up towards WR1 for better RR. And again, this is a fib of the last 2 weeks. Okay, pound yen. I fibbed this month's low to high, and basically our interest is going to be the 38.2 fib, which is a little bit higher than where I normally like to trade pullbacks from. However, we have the daily 55 here, which you can see we've already reacted to, and we had a nice candle that broke back above the 4-hour 200. However, we've kind of just been petering between that and 192.20. So basically what I'm looking for now is a nice solid push above the weekly pivot at 192.40 from where we're at now. That could give us a long entry or a move back down to retest the daily 55 and another rejection of that area for a long. If we do move back down and break that again, I'll still be looking for support to form around 189, and that should give us a signal if support does form there for a long. And of course, that's off the daily chart, so we do have horizontal support and resistance in that area. If 189 does break, then we look for price to come all the way down to the daily 200. All right, Pound USD, not too much going on here that's tradable in my opinion. I'm still looking for price to push into the 156.60 or 153.50 area. I think it's likely that we'll continue to range in that area, so I'll look for shorts from the top and longs from the bottom if we even make it to either one of those ends this week. All right, AUD USD. This is a fib from last week's high to low. We do have the super convergence zone here, which we touched this week and moved away from, and we're moving back up towards that. Potentially could provide a trade there, but I'd like to see a pullback at least to the 50% fib to coincide with the 4-hour 55. Again, that gives us horizontal support and resistance area, and down here there's not a whole lot of room, and prices just kind of been moving up and down in this tiny box. So it looks like we just need a market catalyst to get momentum going here again, and I would prefer that we first see a pullback to about 50% fib and then a nice push back below the super convergence zone for short. All right, AUD yen is in pretty much the same boat. We haven't really been able to break higher for a week, or this week. Of course, there is the potential that we'll fail there again and move short, and that could provide us with a signal. But again, I'd prefer a bit more of a pullback. I'm looking for around 91 to hold. So a pullback into this area, and then for that to hold and a subsequent short signal. Okay, New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. This is a fib on the daily chart, this month's high to low. We're looking for a pullback to just about 0.67. We may not quite make it there, could find support a little bit, or resistance rather, a little bit lower at our 4-hour bullish Dynafib there. Basically anywhere between the bearish Dynafib and 0.67, I'll be looking for resistance to form in that area and a short signal to trade back down to at least WS1 here. New Zealand dollar versus the yen, still looking at a range here for the moment. I'll be looking for price to come up to right around 83 for a short from the top there, and trade that back down to the bottom of the range around 80.50. Okay, USD versus the yen. I don't have a fib on this chart. You can see that we did move close to the daily 55, couldn't quite get down there. Basically 123 area holding. We're starting to move up, but we haven't broken above this midterm fib or really above the super convergence zone here yet. Should we manage to get decent momentum and a good closure above that area, I'll look for that to coincide with a long signal. That can definitely be a trade that I would take and that I'll be looking for. Potentially, if we move back down from where we're at now, I'll still be looking for the daily 55 to hold and for a long back above 123. Here's USD versus the CAD. This is a fib of the last 2 weeks, low to high. I want to see a pullback at least to 129.40, if not to 129. In the write-up yesterday, I mentioned 129. We really haven't had a whole lot of movement this week, and it looks like it could be a slow week for the markets. So 129 would give us an area to work off of with a shallow pullback. But of course, we do have, if the market picks up this week, potential to come back down into the 4-hour Dynafibs. All right, Euro versus the USD. This is the 4-hour trend line that I mentioned, which you can see has been broken at this point, and we're above the daily 55. However, I have added a fib on the daily. Let's take a look at this on the daily. So this is last month's high to this month's low. And if we take a look at this trend line on the daily, you can see that price has moved above it a little bit, but we're currently right on it. So I'm not really going to consider this trend line broken until we get a daily close above it. So what that means from here is if the daily is not going to close above it, we could see a signal basically back below the daily 55, 4-hour 200, and this trend line, which should give us a nice short signal. That's definitely the preferred scenario, and I'll look to trade that back down to the recent low. However, if we do manage to basically come down into the crux of the trend line and the EMAs and move back up and yield a daily close above this trend line, we do have the potential for a long there, and first profit is probably going to be the midterm fib at 1.120, but potentially we could see a move back up to the daily 200. All right, Euro versus the CAD. I had continued to move up at the beginning of the week, so of course I followed the fib here. So this is last week's low to this week's high, and it looks like we could be seeing a rejection from WR1 where we could get a nice counter short from there, and then look to get out of that at the weekly pivot, which is going to be horizontal support and resistance. We have the 4-hour 55 moving up, and that could be, or that would be the place where I would look for price to turn around and take a long from there. Euro odd looking very similar to Euro CAD. Looks like we could be in for a counter trend short setup here shortly from WR1. If you're not interested in counter trend, the overall objective still stands, although we have moved the fib up a little bit. So that is going to give us a little bit bigger of an area to work with, and I will look for support to form between 149.50 and basically 148.90 or 149. Look for price to pull down into that area, find support, and move back up. And last but not least, Euro versus the yen. We have moved up quite a bit this week. However, we are coming into the, well, not really that close yet, but it looks like we may be moving up there this week. So the 137.60 to 138 area, we have the midterm fib, WR2. Of course, it's been previous resistance and looks like it could be the top of our range for a little while yet, of course, at least until it breaks. So that is where I'm going to be looking for resistance to form, and then a nice short signal from there. And I will look to trade that back down into this area, if not lower. You can see we have a whole bunch of stuff in here, but that's basically dead center of where price has been moving back and forth through for the last several weeks now. All right, that is going to be it for me for now. So hopefully we'll see markets pick up a little bit and provide us with some good trading opportunities. Have